Welcome to Man Utd Transfer HQ, your ultimate source for all things Manchester United transfer news and rumours. Our first news is Ruben Amorim signals huge Man Utd transfer warning after Bruno Fernandes injury. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim is adamant over the club's transfer plans following star man Bruno Fernandes' injury against Aston Villa on Sunday. Ruben Amorim does not want to see Manchester United panic and make mistakes in the January transfer window following the injury to Bruno Fernandes. The Portuguese midfielder was forced off from the field during defeat to Aston Villa. United's boss does not want the club to hastily adjust their plans with a knee-jerk reaction and revealed he would not be demanding new players from Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada. The 40-year-old instead wants the club to stick to their long-term plan. They have been linked with signing a new central midfielder after failing to persuade Brighton to part ways with Carlos Baleba in the summer. The club have since been linked with the likes of Adam Wharton and Elliot Anderson. But Antoine Semenyo has been the most prominent name ahead of the January transfer window. The Bournemouth star has a £65 million release clause and has the interest of Liverpool, Manchester City, Tottenham, and United. Amorim is adamant that the Red Devils will not repeat the mistakes of the past by acting rashly. Even if that means suffering in the short term, what we cannot do is to reach January and try to do everything in urgency and make mistakes and then, it's, here we go again, with a lot of mistakes, Amorim said. I'm not going to get together with Jason and Omar and say, we need a lot of players. Because we have a plan. If we have to suffer, the club comes first. Of course, we are in a moment where we need points but we need to find solutions and we are going to continue with our plan. You can feel in this moment that we are going to struggle, but we will see. We have to deal with it. Amorim's comments come days after suggesting United may have some financial backing for January. On that occasion, he emphasized any deal would benefit a prolonged period rather than cover for the club's AFCON losses. We'll see, Amorim said. The only thing we know is that we only would try to bring players that we think are going to be the future. It's not going to be to save something in this moment, to cope with the losses of 3 players for AFCON. It's not going to be like that, even if we try to bring one player, maybe it's not the position that we need more. We will try to bring now, and in the end of the season, players that are perfect for our future. I don't know what is going to happen, but it's possible that we can do something. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications for daily Man United news. Our second news is Ruben Amorim has already explained his reason for upsetting Man United star who didn't look happy. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim was deemed to have upset one of his substitutes during his side's 2-1 loss to Aston Villa in the Premier League on Sunday. Ruben Amorim has already offered an explanation after appearing to upset Joshua Zirkzee during Manchester United's 2-1 loss to Aston Villa. The Dutchman came off the bench in the defeat but perhaps expected to be introduced earlier than he was. United found themselves trailing on the stroke of halftime during their trip to Villa Park after Morgan Rogers' sublime curling effort. Matheus Cunha levelled prior to the break, but Rogers added a second just before the hour mark and secured all 3 points for Unai Emery's side. A casualty of the loss was captain Bruno Fernandes, who suffered what appeared to be a hamstring injury during the first half but continued playing. Zirkzee was a front-runner to replace him at the interval but United icon Gary Neville was surprised to see Lisandro Martinez come on in his place. Neville stated that Zirkzee looked upset at not being brought on at halftime, despite being introduced after 73 minutes, but Amorim provided an applicable explanation for a similar decision last season. On commentary for Sky Sports, Neville voiced his shock at Martinez coming on instead of Zirkzee, who has found minutes hard to come by under Amorim. I'm surprised as I thought Zirkzee would come on as he is closer to Fernandes' position, he said before adding, Zirkzee, doesn't look like he's too happy. But a not dissimilar situation occurred last campaign. Zirkzee started a tie against Newcastle in December 2024 but with United trailing 2-0 after 32 minutes, he was brought off the pitch and looked visibly distraught. Amorim explained after the match, you have to think about the team. The player is suffering during the game. We needed another midfielder. It was tough on me to do that. I talked with Joshua about that. I'm always thinking about the team. At that moment it was important for him to come out. I know that Josh is a really good guy. When he went to the tunnel, I can understand that some guys can be in a bad way, but he is a really good lad. He added, "It is life, and we will support Josh and continue." Newcastle were better than Manchester United. They weren't better than Josh. Neville also had his say during this controversial substitution, much like he did when Xerxes was not introduced against Villa. He said, "I know that he's earning a lot of money, but there's a human being in there that's basically being cheered off by his home fans, and that is brutal." Despite Amorim making decisions surrounding Xerxes for the good of the team, the Dutchman continues to be linked with a move away from the club. Xerxes was only signed in July 2024 from Bologna for £36.5 million, but reports suggest he could make a swift return to Italy. Corriere dello Sport claim Roma are interested in Xerxes, and the only thing currently preventing a transfer is a disparity on fees. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications for daily Man United news. Our third news is Bruno Fernandes' exchange with Aston Villa fans during Man United loss caught on camera. Manchester United midfielder Bruno Fernandes could help but interact with Aston Villa supporters from the dugout as the Red Devils fell to defeat in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes was caught on camera hitting out at Aston Villa supporters from the dugout during Manchester United's defeat to the Premier League side. Fernandes was taking his place among the substitutes after picking up an injury during the game, which saw him replaced. With his hood up and Villa fans laughing, Fernandes could be seen turning in their direction and attempting to put them down. "You sing more for me than for your team," he said. "Don't be angry because I score always against you," he added with a smile. The villains offered a sarcastic cheer as Fernandes was guided back into his seat by a member of United staff and faced the pitch. The Red Devils' captain's smile may not have lasted too long as Morgan Rogers' goals on either side of Matheus Cunha's effort ensured a 10th win in a row for Unai Emery's side. Fernandes was unable to add to his own impressive record against Villa, in the opening 45 minutes. The 31-year-old has scored more goals against the Midlands club than any other opponent. United's talisman has bagged 7 goals in 13 appearances and added 3 assists that he was left with little to smile about in defeat and did not receive a reassuring prognosis. Fernandes could be ruled out for a month. "It's a soft tissue, I think he's going to lose some games," said Amorim after the game against Villa. "I don't know for sure. Let's see. I don't know. I don't want to talk about matters you can't control. He is a guy who is always fit, so he might recover quite well. I think Kobbie Mainoo is out, Bruno is out. We will see. No excuses, we need to win the next game and we will try to win the next game." Despite Fernandes' absence, Gary Neville believes United were the better team against Villa. The former club captain was reassured by the performance from Amorim's side. "I thought it was a really good performance, but the details of the 2 goals have cost them," he said. "Now that's going to continue to happen whilst they don't have the likes of Harry Maguire and Matthijs de Ligt, and they don't have players that would make them a lot stronger. That I don't think they are anywhere near good enough to get into that top 3, but what I have seen in these last 2 games is a couple of things. 1, the manager has changed, quite obviously, the system that he said he would never change, the 5 or the 3 at the back, the 2 in midfield, the 2 wing backs and the 3 up front, has been thrown out of the window in the last 2 matches. That's a good thing. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications for daily Man United news. Our last news is how Man United can line up without Bruno Fernandes as Ruben Amorim makes transfer stance clear. Manchester United have lost their captain and talisman Bruno Fernandes to injury, leaving manager Ruben Amorim with a huge problem to solve as they face Newcastle on Boxing Day. It is a problem Manchester United have not really had to deal with, but one that Ruben Amorim is now faced with: what to do without Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes is not only United's captain and talisman, but also a near ever-present. Since signing from Sporting Lisbon in January 2020, the playmaker has barely missed a game. He sat out of 2 matches at the end of the 2023-24 season with a knee complaint and, later, another due to illness. Otherwise he has been there, in almost every starting lineup, making 308 appearances and contributing 103 goals and 93 assists. Fernandes is inarguably United's best and most consistent player. And he is arguably the most important player for any Premier League side, such as his complete and utter dominance of Amorim's team. And now he's unavailable. For how long, we don't yet know. Amorim said he will likely lose some games after being forced off at halftime against Aston Villa on Sunday. Diogo Dalot described his absence, for Boxing Day's game against Newcastle at least, as massive, with Bryan Mbeumo, Amad Diallo and Nasser Mazraoui away at the Africa Cup of Nations and Harry Maguire and Matthijs de Ligt also injured. Massive just about covers it. The January transfer window is just around the corner, but Amorim has already warned against panic buying to find cover for their skipper. "I will see what we're going to do," Amorim said post-match. "I think Kobbie Mainoo is out and Bruno is out. So we will see. We are going to find solutions. No excuses. We need to win the next game and we will try to win the next game. What we cannot do is to reach January and try to do everything in urgency and make mistakes and then, it's, here we go again, with a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to get together with Director of Football, Jason Wilcox, and Chief Executive, Omar Barada, and say, we need a lot of players. Because we have a plan. If we have to suffer, the club comes first. What is that plan? Well, Amorim is at least boosted by the return from suspension of Casemiro, who sat out of the 2-1 defeat by Aston Villa after picking up a fifth yellow card of the campaign. The experienced Brazilian will no doubt return as the more defensively minded midfielder, but the identity of his partner is unclear. Mainoo's injury is extremely badly timed. The 20-year-old has been frustratedly sitting on the bench all season and the moment an opportunity comes, he is unavailable. Amorim has said he sees Mainoo as a more attack-minded midfielder and he might have been a good fit for the Newcastle game. A look at United's first-team squad on their own website shows just how thin on the ground they are right now. With Fernandes and Mainoo injured and Toby Collier and Dan Gore away on loan, that leaves Casemiro, Manuel Ugarte and Mason Mount as the only fit first-team midfielders. Choosing two of those three looks straightforward, with Mount the best replacement for Fernandes. The former Chelsea man has tended to play as one of the number 10s in Amorim's 3-4-2-1 formation, but can drop back into the midfield too and has the creative instincts to push forward. Ugarte, meanwhile, is completely lacking in such instincts and has been an underwhelming flop since making a £50 million move from Paris Saint-Germain in August 2024. Shockingly, United have not won any of the last 9 league games in which Ugarte has started. Amorim turned to Lisandro Martinez to play the second half in midfield against Villa and the returning Argentina international did a reasonable job. But the defender clearly isn't a like-for-like replacement and can't play alongside Casemiro, instead he could return. In defense, perhaps in place of Aiden Heaven, the final option for Amorim comes from the academy, an area he has been accused of ignoring since arriving over a year ago. Indeed, Amorim referenced Sunday's 2 debutants as options at Villa Park. I think, Jack, Fletcher did his first game, so that is good news, Shea, Lacey the same, so we will try to find solutions and go for the next game. Lacey is a wide forward who showed a glimpse of his talent by cutting inside off the right onto his left foot and getting a shot off against Villa. Fletcher, the son of ex-United midfielder Darren Fletcher, is a central midfielder who could earn more minutes in the coming games. But throwing him into the starting lineup against Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali and Joe Linton is a big step up and one Amorim is unlikely to take. Moving Mount back into midfield alongside Casemiro seems the most sensible option for now, even if it leaves an issue further forward, with Mbeumo and Amad away. Lacey, 18, would appear to be competing with Joshua Zirkzee for a starting berth. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications for daily Man United news. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one with even more breaking news, big transfer updates, and everything Manchester United. Until then, keep supporting the Red Devils and stay tuned to Man Utd Transfer HQ. Glory glory Man United.